Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, in this beautiful place, we have today two weddings, and the guy in charge of music uh, put it a little bit higher than normal. So it doesn't matter where I am in this place, I can hear it everywhere. So, so I hope it doesn't bother to you while I speak. So sorry, I just forgot what was the topic for today, and I was just saying in Spanish that I had no idea what was the topic. So I'm really sorry for the new ones. That is the first time that you are listening to me, and maybe you say this guy is not serious at all. But actually, I have the license of saying these kind of things because it's been a year, and most of all, we are like family right now, so I can say these kind of things like I have no idea what was the topic for today, and I'm really lost. So, but yes, innovation. People let me remember what it was. So also, of course, that every day I have the effort to to know what I wrote in the post, because usually I have to write the post is like a kind of a meditation. So when I finish the writing, I don't check it again. So kind of I forget what I wrote. So sometimes I have no idea about anything. Actually, it's been like many hours. So um, let's see. One of the things that I mentioned today in the conversation was about resting. When are we going to rest after all this task and all the things that we are doing? When is the time that everything will finish and we achieved what we have come to do? And the answer of my was never. What are you talking about? Like the it was unexpected, but it was like, what are you talking about? Why do you want to rest? For what? Of what for? Sorry. So so this is one of the things that we have to understand in order to go into innovation. So let's begin with that. So many times a lot of people ask me, and this is why I asked that today too, about, they said, Matias, when this is gonna end, when when everything will finish and our process and all what we are doing will end, and so we can rest after everything that we have done. And I usually say that this is not an easy process. That is not an easy way to say eventually, I don't know, in 5 years or something like that. That is a long process to do. And but today my higher self gave me many more reasons to understand what it meant, this process. So sometimes when we look into our world with the eyes of the present, when we see everything from our current days, um, we look into people, we look into ourselves, we look into trees, houses, and everything that is around us, and we kind of have the appearance that everything is constant there, like if it's static, like if it's not changing. Like I can say I am myself since the moment I was born, and that's it. So the things are like that. Like if there is a moment of stability in the things, that they don't change, and then comes a moment of change. Well, actually, it's not working like this. As we have seen many videos ago, the change is constant. It's something that is not for some periods of time. It's something that is happening every day. It's just that we don't see it because we just have a short vision of what reality is. But when we see the entire picture of what reality is, we will see that every stage of our existence is just a part of a big process. The human that we are is not the end of the project humanity. It's not, oh, this is a human, this is me, this is a human, and this was what nature was meant to do with ourselves. No, we are just another link into a long process of development, into a long process of evolution. But here it's important to understand that the process of evolution is not heading to anywhere. It's not something that has a project, that has a goal to achieve. So we never end changing. There is no goal in what we do. It's a constant of change. Evolution doesn't have a goal, because sometimes we can misunderstand when we say through evolution we achieve to be human, and sometimes in that sense we can interpret it as if something in nature decided for us to exist, so evolution was doing something for us to be humans. But no, basically evolution is the art of nature to adapt to every environment, to every context. So it's not about someone deciding what we have to be. It's about we adapting to the environment. So eventually we as humans will have to change too, to new environments. This is why humanity is not a goal in evolution. Humanity is just another link in evolution. Eventually we will have to change. So this is why when we say when is coming the moment of resting after this process, we should rethink the sentence, because there is no moment of ending in this process. It's something constant. So it's not about something ending in order for me to rest for all the things that I've done, but I have to discover that the process of resting is just the moments of earning and gaining energy during that process. So let's visualize it. Let's draw here evolution. Evolution. So what is evolution? It's basically a path in which the energy, the particles, are following a resonance throughout the wavelengths. Let's take this line as if it is the neutral point. So let's have these two words. In one side of the line, we will have action, and action will be like equal to contraction. And in the other side, we will have reaction, that we will call it distension, distress. So these parts from the top, the heels of the wave, will be equal action, because are the moments when we create the action, the energy. So we can relate it to contraction in muscles, in the matter and everything, because it's like the contraction of a muscle, of a structure, so much that you generate a lot of energy, and then boom, it's released with a lot of tension. Okay, so that's the contraction. So we can, as an example, we can understand this here, like with your fist. You close your fist, create like this, and by doing strength, you will feel all the heat and the energy created, and then you release it, and you will feel all the power that is released. The moment of reaction is basically the result of the action. that will be completed by the valleys of the wave. So once we have the action, the reaction will be opening your hand. And when you open your hand right now, you will feel this tension, like the energy is released and you have no energy in your hand. It's like soft. So this distension is the one that allows the body to restore the energy in the hand so you can close it again. So these two sides is what us in our common life we call to be in alert or to be relaxed, to be awakened or to be sleeping. So this is what we could call the state of alert, which is to be awakened, or the state of relax, which is to be slept. So as we see here, this is a constant in evolution, and sometimes we have some crisis. When we got some crisis, for example, here, it can create like a distortion in the entire wave, in the entire wave of vibration that can create distortion in our state of alert and relaxation. So sometimes we can be asleep a long time, or sometimes we can be sleepy much more than usual. So throughout millions of years of evolution, this process of awakening and sleep and so on was controlled by the nerve system, being called like the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system that we already spoke in another month. So we have these two ways in which the nerve system is in charge of these states of alert and relaxation. So these cycles are related to, of course, the light, the movement of a planet. So in our world, the Earth, this system will be related according to how many hours of light, how many hours of night we will have, and according to if we see the sun or if we see the moon. So along this process, our mind has designed a way to understand our way of life, like when do we have to sleep and when do we have to be awakened. So now, when we are awakened is the moment in which we have the time to find food, to find a place to sleep, to feel secure. So basically, during those hours that we are awakened are the times that we have in order to put our energy into look for our main needs, because then we have sleep. We know that we also have to sleep because when we sleep, we earn energy. So we must sleep so we can have the energy enough for the next day to look for the basic needs. Until this moment, is very logic, it's all logics. So eventually, when we start to get aware and intelligent as a being, as a human, we start to find the rhythms in all this night and day. So the hours in which we have to sleep, the hours that we have to work, to find food. So eventually, we start to understand how the stars move in the horizon, what are the best dates for the moon, for the sun, create a calendar, and suddenly we celebrate those days, and suddenly we create a culture for our life. We create a culture to understand this process of finding the needs. Eventually, this culture started to be like a way of understanding that everyone needed to do something in order to have food. Everyone needed to work. So they started to create these cultures that they said we need to work during the day as much as we can, because if we sleep, we will die. We don't have the food for the other day. So, speaking about the past, they start to think that to sleep, it was a loss of time. It was something that was not useful for everyone. So after a while of doing this hard work every day, suddenly some people start to ask, why am I doing this? I have to do this. Is my life only for work? Is my life only to suffer and just to have a little time to sleep? So is this kind of a punishment from someone that we have to suffer every day and we cannot enjoy life? Will come eventually a moment of to rest in which we don't have to work to achieve our things. So this question was very useful for religions that kind of got the idea that we have come to this world to suffer, and we have come to this world to do a hard work to prove to someone that we worth it, and that we should not be punished, and if we do the right job, we can go back to heaven, to the paradise, to live happily ever after, and to rest, not having anything to do. So basically, this vision of of suffering and to do the hard work to reach the divine in the paradise is a Semitic point of view. The Semitic cultures that they of monotheism, which is the belief in only one God, were the people from the Middle East that they created this vision that we were here as a punishment. And this was not a problem for the people that were polytheistic, that they believed that the gods were part of the nature. So being alive was kind of a joy, a gift. So they were celebrating everything. For the polytheism, it was not the punishment to be alive, it was a gift. This idea, the hard work and the suffering to get the things from the Semitic religions was brought to the Roman Empire and then spread in all Europe with the culture of work that then was brought to the entire planet with the colonization and, of course, now globalization. The concept of we have to work really hard to deserve a moment of rest. So there was a very Christian idea that if we do a very hard work during our life, the gift, the price of this will be heaven, will be the paradise after death. So you have to wait until you die in order to rest properly. Until that moment, you have to do everything right to make the job. So that's why it's something that it got stuck in us, that we believe that if we do our hard work now, we will have the time to rest in a beautiful place after we die. And I'm so sorry, but that's not how it is. This was one of the greatest ways of slavery, of promote slavery in most of the human beings. So basically, it's a slavery that nobody had to put it on us that we decided to follow, which is I have to do my best and my hard work so when I die, I can rest and do my and to be free. So even though we start to look for new tools to understand this and we transcend the idea of religion, in of us, we still have this concept that we have to find a moment of rest, that eventually all this crisis and all this process and everything that we are doing for the awakening, it should end, and suddenly eventually we will find this moment of rest and everything will be fine. And we got that concept from religions. We got that concept from a very old idea that after a work comes the rest. So basically, what we have to get from this is a different point of view, which is not that we have to wait for a process to finish, to end in order to rest, because this is eternal. It's a constant process. So the process of resting is not the final process. The process of resting is something inside the process which gives me energy in order to take a new action. So the process of resting is something that we decide how we are going to live it according to how we act in our life, according to which energy we put in our process, which intentions, the energy that we create in our actions is the one that will define our relaxation or life. When we have the idea that the process is something that begins, ends, and then rests, we are making a mistake, because the process is eternal, it's constant, it's always. So I can be all the time relaxed if I act in balance, if I act coherence. But if I act willing to finish something in order to rest, I will be constantly in stress, never finding the moment of rest. So I propose to you something for this new age of Aquarius. We have to stay thinking about paradise or the eternal rest. The word that will be used instead of paradise will be innovation. Innovation is the only word, the only key that can help us understand that is an eternal process, that is something constant. Innovation is not only related to technology. Innovation is basically to live the action of living in the new things. Innovation, the action of living in the new things. When we think about a process as something that we have to finish, we will never see the end. We will be always stuck in the same process once and again, repeating. And that's what makes us feel so terrible. Karma. But when we, instead of aiming to finish something, we aim to start something new all the time, we will be constantly living in the paradise. And we have to have something very clear about how to innovate. that if we want to innovate, if we want to transcend into something new, we should be flexible into the new things. So we have to allow ourselves to change, to transform ourselves. And transform ourselves means to change our points of view, which means that when we become conscious, consciousness is not a synonym of morality. So remember this, morality is related to the quality of a specific place in a specific time. Specific place and specific time. That's morality. So when we see the future, we cannot judge the future with morality. We should be conscious, which is wide open. Let's not mistake morality with consciousness. In order to live the future, in order to live this new reality here and now, what we have to do is to innovate. Innovate all the time, to learn something new constantly, and so we can live the paradise here and now. The vibration today is ko. The statement today is, I am the product of generation.